Hello, everyone. This is Richard Carlton. I'm here today with Klaus. Hey, Klaus.
Hey, Richard.
This is an exciting video because it's kind of a mission-critical video, and it has to do with the new FileMaker Cloud technology. It's a product and kind of service that FileMakers put together to give us additional options for hosting our FileMaker custom apps up on the internet. It's pretty cool stuff.
It's really exciting with the new FileMaker Cloud. And one of the great things is that you can spin up a new server very quickly, and in just about half an hour, you're up and running with a new server. And you don't have to think about infrastructure or buying a new server or anything. It's really great, and it's a version 1.0, but you can host your FileMaker databases and share WebDirect and FileMaker Pro clients.
Yeah, this technology is really a major step forward for the FileMaker community. We've produced about 3 to 4 hours of dedicated FileMaker Cloud videos. Some of those are up on YouTube. I'm going to put links up here on screen. And then, of course, some of them are part of our FileMaker Pro video course. That's a $69 course, and it's additional content in there. One of the gotchas that, kind of the rough edges of a 1.0 product, we talk about this being the first release of this, is the idea of the SSL certificate. And for those of you who don't understand how this works, FileMaker Cloud basically requires encryption all the time to be on. It's always there. It has to be on. There's some important reasons to have encryption enabled. For people who were from Star Wars or Star Trek people, they're like, well, what do you mean it's always on? It's like, imagine your ship flying around all the time with the shields up, right? Shields are always up. And so as a FileMaker server setup, which is the other way of hosting, the encryption is optional there. With FileMaker Cloud, it has to be on. In fact, it's so important that when you set up the server for the first time, you get 90 days of free SSL certificate encryption. After that 90 days, you have to renew the certificate. It's about $100 a year, which works out to about $8 a month. What that SSL certificate guarantees is that your server is the authorized server. All the data between the server and the clients is encrypted, so it's resistant to hackers. They can't really see it. So it's useful in that way. Now, the trick is the renewal of the certificate. That's kind of the rough edge, and that's why we have the video today. I was online and I was complaining, and I said, this needs to be better, and Klaus was like, this needs to be better. But Klaus is the kind of guy who says, well, if no one's going to make it better, I will make it better myself, and he will go out and build a tool that makes life easier for the FileMaker community. So I want to clap and share and say thank you, Klaus, and talk to us about what you're doing and what you're proposing here.
In this video, we are just going to cover the overview of the process, and then we are going to do a step-by-step walk through the process with the tool built in order to renew the process. The process as it is, if you should do it manually, is actually pretty complex. And this has to do with what you said before, Richard, that this is a version 1.0, the cloud. But if you are using the tool built, it should be fairly simple. There's still some steps in it, but it should be fairly simple. So just in order to show you what the process actually is when you do it manually. So first off, you open SSH in security groups on AWS and locate the key pair file. And then locate from setup, and with the terminal command, you connect to the instance via SSH. Run a command to create a new private key and create a certificate signing request. Then you open the certificate signing request and copy the content. Then you go to the Cloud Admin console, navigate to SSL certificates and renew Komodo certificate button. And then you paste the certificate signing request content into the Komodo website and fill the info. And then you got a warning about existing account for domain. Select OK and then choose to verify via HTTPS CSR hash. Now you can create a text file with the name and content in form of MD5 and a SHA-1, and then use the terminal to get access to the server and modify permissions on folders to upload.
Whoa, slow down here. So this is the process right now if you don't have the helper tool, correct?
It's only half of the process. It continues. So, and it was actually on post that I tried to run very fast through this in order to see if we could lose our breath. So this is actually the last part of the process.
Okay, so show us your tool. What do we do here?
So let's run through the process. Here's the tool that is completely open and completely free to everyone that wants to download it and use it at your own risk. So, first off, there is a few requirements. You will need the key pair file, which you got when you created the key pair, required when you installed your FileMaker Cloud instance. This is a very important step. And I just want to note immediately that if you have lost this file, then you're pretty much screwed and you need to kill your instance and install a new one, because it's not possible to retrieve this key pair file. So this is a very crucial part. So if you have lost that, then you can start planning on killing the instance and create a new one. But if you have this, great, because we will need it. You will need to pay for the certificate with a credit card, and you'll need to have internet access so you can access your instance. That kind of lays into it. Another important thing is that after you have imported the SSL certificate, the renewed certificate, your FileMaker Cloud instance will reboot. So you need to make sure that you don't have any users connected when you're doing the final steps here. Okay, so as you can see, this is a slide panel, so you can step through it, but I try to take it step by step. So the first thing we need to do is to enter the instance URL and the instance AWS URL. So when I get into Safari here, I have logged into an instance I set up here, and it has gotten the name, as you can see up here, which is dmeast01. That's my name for it. And then .fmi.filemakercloud.com. This is the URL for the instance itself. So, as you can see, there's also some helper text here. So this is the instance URL. Then we also need the AWS instance URL, which is not the same as FileMakers. So you need to log into your AWS dashboard and go to the running instances. And here I only have a single one, and the AWS URL is what you see here. It starts with EC2 for EC2 instances, and then there's the IP address and more in the URL. So we copy this one and go back into the tool, and then we paste it in here. So after you have pasted in the instance URL and the AWS instance URL, as you can read here, we need to go back into the AWS instance and select your FileMaker Cloud instance, and then we need to go to security groups, as we need to allow access via SSH in the dropdown. So I'm back in here to the AWS console, and I have selected the FileMaker Cloud instance here. And then, as you can see here, there's the security groups with a name, and we need to click on that. Here's the security rules. This is basically the firewall for our cloud instance. And here we click on the for inbound traffic and press the edit button. Now, as you can see here, FileMaker has set up the inbound rules for HTTPS and for FileMaker application port, and then as well as HTTP. But we need to add a rule here and say we need to allow traffic via the SSH, and then you should choose my IP, because this is a very powerful protocol to allow access. So select my IP, and AWS will automatically fetch your IP address and allow only access via your own IP address. Now we should have access via SSH. So now we press OK. And in step 2, we are going to import the key pair file. And this is standard FileMaker, so just insert file and select your key pair file that you created during the installation of FileMaker Cloud. Now to the right, you need to fill out all the information about your organization. The server name is the same as we pasted in just before, the URL to our FileMaker Cloud instance. And here's our organization, and you need to select the country. If you're in an area where state is not applicable, then you should just enter your city name, like I do here. So then we are going to press next. And now the tool is creating a connection command. This command is necessary to run through the terminal application. And the reason for that is that we just paste it in here, and the first time you connect to the instance, you get this one where the terminal wants to have you authorize that your computer is authorized to connect to your FileMaker Cloud instance. So here you need to write yes, and when it's finished, you just press enter exit and press enter. And now we can close the terminal and go back into the tool. So when you've done this, okay, I have connected. So now we are creating a certificate signing request. What we have done now is that the tool has asked your FileMaker Cloud instance to create a signing certificate request, as well as creating a private key for the server. This is 2 files that is needed in order to purchase a certificate or renew a certificate. So the content of this CSR file is now on your clipboard, and it's ready to paste on the website. So now you're asked to go to the Cloud Admin Console, Configuration and SSL Certificates, and click on the button Renew Komodo Certificate. So when I press enter here, it's actually going to use the link and go into your Cloud Admin Console. Then you just need to go to Configuration and SSL Certificates. And here's the button Renew Komodo Certificate. And it's going to take a few seconds in order to redirect to Komodo's website in an area that is linked to this one. So put your cursor into this field and just paste in the certificate signing request here. Step 2 on Komodo's website is to select the Apache Mod SSL. And here you can select how many years you want to renew the certificate for. For this video, we are just going to select 1 year. And then you could select whether you want to receive Komodo's newsletter or not. So I press next. And this is going on the Komodo website. And what you see now is a warning. This warning says that for this website, and the website is the FileMakerCloud.com, there's already an account on Komodo's website. And this is okay because it's a domain that is owned by FileMaker. So you need to click that we do understand this and we want to proceed anyways. Then we check this box and click on the next again. And here there are some email addresses that all belongs to FileMaker, but we have an alternative method of doing a control that we actually own this instance. So the way we're doing it is by selecting the HTTPS CSR hash. And then you get an MD5 string and then a SHA-1 string as well. So what you do now is you select the MD5 and copy it and go back to the tool. And as you can see, it has changed to the next slide. And here's a field where you can input the MD5 string from the Komodo website. So now we just inserted it here, and then we also need to select and copy the SHA-1 string and paste it in here. So now we have pasted in the MD5 and the SHA-1, and now we are going to create a file that is a verification file, and this file we are going to upload to your cloud instance. And after it has been done, we are just going to the website in order to verify that we actually have this file sitting here. And sure enough, here we can see the SHA-1 string. So now let's close this one, and as you can see now we need to go to the Komodo website, which we have here, and we are going to say continue. Now we need to fill out all the information here. So you need to fill in a username and password, and that is in order to create your account at Komodo's website. So now we have filled out the information that is in red, and we press next. And now we get to this site where we need to agree on the agreements that Komodo has. And now we get to the part where we need to pay for the certificate. So After you made the payment, then you get to this site here where we have submitted the CSR file. That was the first part, and Komodo has done the domain control validation. And this is the verification file that we uploaded to the cloud instance. And Komodo has now verified that they were able to see our file and it had the correct information in there. So right now we are just waiting for Komodo to send an email with the certificate. And it should only take about 5 minutes or so. So you get a zip file in the email that you drag to the desktop and unzip it. And then we get these two files. So we just drag and drop them into our working directory so we know where they are.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt and ask an important question. Your tool, because it uses this base elements plugin that I guess it automatically installs, right? It actually created the directory on our computer for us, and it put these files in there for us, because I don't remember us doing that. So it's done it totally invisibly.
Yeah, it does so with the functionality within the tool. It creates this folder and it's creating those files as well. And this one is placed within your documents folder and it's named the FMC SSL. So it actually contains all the files that we have been using for the process so far. And yes, you're absolutely correct. We are using the awesome base elements plugin to create the folder and also to do the terminal commands that is needed in order to communicate with our instance. So for the next part of the process, we need to go to the Cloud Admin Console. And let me bring it up here. And go into Configuration and SSL Certificates. And then we click on Import. So now we are selecting the Signed Certificates CRT file. And then we are going to pick up the key file that we have in this folder. And if there is any password, then just delete it and click OK. So now it's actually importing the certificate, and it says here that the certificate was imported successfully. So click OK to restart the FileMaker Cloud. And now it's very important that you don't have any users in the system. So now I click the OK, and it will take a few minutes, and we'll get an email that will notify us that our FileMaker Cloud is up and running again. While we were waiting for an email that never appeared, we can just reload, and sure enough, we will get to the login dialog for the admin console that we get here, and just log in to the cloud. So now we are logged in. And when we navigate to configuration and SSL certificates, then we can verify that as of now, this one will expire 1 year from today. So now we got it installed.
So what are the gotchas? I mean, along the way of setting up this tool and building this tool and testing this tool, what were the gotchas that you ran into that we need to be aware of?
Initially, I was supposed to combine those two files, the bundle file and certificate file that you get from Komodo. But apparently, when you try to combine those, I wasn't able to successfully do that. And it's apparently we only need to use the signed certificate file for the cloud server. So that was one thing. Other than that, a lot of work with trying out the terminal commands that is built into the tool in order to communicate with the server. But that's really the biggest catches.
Well, excellent. And the tool is available on your website at BrainBasket. Is that what that is?
It's on the brainbasket.com.
And we'll also put a link to it here at the bottom in the description of this video. So this gives us our SSL encryption that ties on to the end of the 90-day, or actually it's from the point that we do it. So we don't get the 90 days plus a year. It's the SSL certificate activates from the point at which we've gone through this process, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We can make a note here that when you get to your cloud admin console or your cloud server, you'll notice that you're able to decide what the first name is. That is the name until the first dot, unless someone else has created a cloud server with the same name. But the fmi.filemakercloud.com is owned by FileMaker, and that is controlled by FileMaker. However, you might want to use your own domain name instead of FileMaker's domain name, and that is actually possible. You can use some of the features in the tool in order to create a signed certificate. Actually, when you get to the certificate request here, you can put in your own domain name here, or subdomain name, in order to create the signed certificate requests, and then you can get your own certificate and import it to the FileMaker Cloud server, just like we did it with the renewed Komodo. But in order to make this certificate valid, you will need to not use the fmi.filemakercloud.com, but you need to use your own domain name. And in order to make that work, you need to create an entry into your DNS and create a CNAME entry. So that was a bit of technical explanation, and we agreed before we should shot this video that we are just going to mention that this is possible, but we are actually not going to show how it is, so that's why I'm just skipping very fast over that.
No, exactly. I think the vast majority of people are going to be content with the domain that they set up, which includes the .fmi.filemaker-cloud.com. Most people be fine with that. For a handful of people who really want to have, Acme Truck Company or whatever.com, then you're going to have to get into an additional level of technical digging and to A, set up the DNS in the first place, and B, then to make sure that your SSL certificate is wired to that domain. And so it's an additional level of complexity. It's really beyond what we want to do in this video, but I think a vast majority of people are not going to really need that.
One note would be that if you have a web direct set up and you have maybe partners connecting to your solution via web direct, then you would be a good reason for wanting your own domain name.
Yeah, that gets into the interesting conversation about, known users and trusted partners using WebDirect, as opposed to trying to get into licensing anonymous users with WebDirect, which really, I think at the end of the day, it's not intended to be used for, but people kind of like to do that, the anonymous public access. But I think that it's for, like I said, if you have WebDirect users and you want to go down this road, then you're going to have to dig into this deeper, check the technical resources online. You can always, of course, hire Klaus to assist you in getting that set up. I'm sure he's available for a small fee or whatever a large fee may be. So any parting comments?
There are other great tools on our Brain Basket site, and there's also links to other videos that you and I have done together on SSL for a FileMaker server on premises. This tool was created on a Macintosh machine, and it was tested on a Macintosh, and it works on a Macintosh. But it should be possible to modify it to work on Windows, and you need to go into the scripts and modify the terminal commands. But it should be small modifications that you're able to do if you really want to run this tool from a Windows machine.
Yeah, this is a free kind of open source application, so because of the time commitments, etc., he is just releasing this out on the Macintosh. If another developer wants to make the Windows variant, then I'm sure Klaus would welcome that, and then we could even post it to the website as well. Well, I want to point out that the Brain Basket is a great resource for information like this, videos, SSLs, things that Klaus and I have worked on. It's a great location for all sorts of FileMaker specific content. I also want to point out that if you are looking for additional cloud videos, feel free to check out a handful of free videos that we have linked to youtube.com, as well as our complete FileMaker cloud video selection, which is part of our FileMaker Pro video training course at learningfilemaker.com. So with that, I wish everyone a good day, and Klaus and I will catch you in the next video.